All right, welcome back. And it's time for us to talk nutrition this morning. And of course, today on the nutrition segment, we have Akosua Yadam, who is a state registered nutritionist. She's going to help us to get into the conversation, eating for a healthy bladder.
That's right.
Yes, you heard me say, eating for a healthy bladder. Yeah. A lot of us have struggles with our bladders. Akosua, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so what do we need to know about making sure that our bladders are healthy?
Okay, so there are experiences myself, you, and all our viewers may have experienced. There is that urge to pee.
Yes.
And sometimes you can't control it. It's safer, it's always safer when I use my family, for example. My grandmother, when she wants to pee and there is somebody there, all hell can break loose. She's old, so definitely you could see that the bladder, the health of her bladder is somehow affected because she's over 85.
Okay.
So that has a factor to play. So if there is that urge or urgency to pee, and in some people, sometimes they have spills. So there are people, they have spills or residues of urine in their underwears because everything probably couldn't come out. If you're experiencing that, it should be something that is triggering something in you.
Okay.
If you are experiencing UTI is one of the common infections that happens, but there are various infections. We'll go through that, and they can all compromise on the health of your bladder. So if you can't control your wee-wee, if you have pain at the pelvic muscle area, that's the floor, the pelvic floor, that area, urinating should be something that should flow easily. But there are people who sometimes may have to experience pain when they have to pass urine out. And so if you're experiencing any of that, being painful urination, being burning when urinating, being poor bladder control, like I said, they are unable to bring everything out, and so they sit, and sometimes it's unfortunate you can see that they are wet. To like in their clothes or what have you, and then pain or pressure in the abdominal bladder area. So there are people who need to kind of squeeze or push before they pee.
I see.
And it's because there's something going on as far as your bladder health is concerned. And so the urologist will tell you that you need to see one. For especially for the men, you need to see one to make sure that your bladder health is taken care of, because it's a very, very important organ. Because if urine, which is something that is unwanted, there are things that need to leave the body, it's either through your pee or the other one. And so you need to make sure it's properly taken care of, because it can lead to other stuff. And then I've spoken about the pelvic floor area, and then general bladder pain. Like I said, if you're urinating and you're feeling pains, it's something that should let you know that all is not well with your bladder, because you should be able to sit on the beauty or wherever you want to pee and pee easily and not have all these things I mentioned happening. So there are various infections that can lead to that. We have a UTI, urinary tract infection, which happens when there is a bacterial infection and it affects your urinary tract, and so causing irritation or what have you. There are people who it's so painful, like the way you eat pepper and you go
burns.
that it burns. It's actually burns, so it's like a sore because there is an infection going on. And these are symptoms that will help you. You are frequently urinating.
Okay.
And then you have cloudy urine. So urine is supposed to have a certain color. It's supposed to be a bit clear, not like the water you consume. But obviously, if you have your urine having certain colors, sometimes they are even darker. It should let you know that there is something going on. And a specialist, urologist, can help you know if you have a healthy bladder, because they will definitely take a sample of your urine, have it tested to know the state or the condition of your bladder. And then pain or burn when you are urinating. So it kind of runs through all the condition. We have bladder infection, and that is a severe version of UTI.
Okay.
So that is also a bacterial infection that happens.
If you don't treat your UTI,
you can find yourself there, and that one comes. It may come with some of the symptoms of the UTI I just mentioned, but you can have chills, you can have fever. So added on to it, and then you can have abdominal pain. Like I said, the abdominal pain and irritation runs through almost all the condition. And then we have the interstitial cystitis. That is a mouthful. And that one is also, you have this painful syndrome when you are trying to pee, because the bladder is obviously responsible mainly for this, and so it has to do with urination and whatever happens there. And then the symptom can be chronic bladder pain or pain in the bladder, and this condition is chronic. So if you find yourself here, then there is trouble, but all hope is not lost. If you have a good urologist, you could be helped so that you get to a level where at least some of these symptoms can be controlled, because once it's chronic, it means that it's quite at a point where we can't take it off or push it off. Yes, and then we have the overactive bladder, and this can be common.
Okay.
There are people who cannot control themselves. When we were in secondary school, my headmistress will tell you, you are in a girls' school, learn how to control your wee, because there are some people. Every 10 minutes they are out there. I'm using the washroom. If that is happening, it's about time you see urologists to help you, because there could be issues with your bladder. And for these individuals, there is that sudden urge to pee. And so, like I gave you an example with my grandmother, once she has that urge, whoever is there, come out, because I have to go there. And at that point, it means that if nothing is done, for instance, Koku, you on set, you feel like peeing, and we went on the short commercial break, and you went there, somebody is there. It's like, by the time we realize, all hell has broken loose. So that is for the overactive, what do you call it, bladder. And then we have the stress incontinence. So there are conditions that the name should even give us a clue. It could be as a result of you stressing that part. The fact that you should hold it also doesn't mean that sometimes we enjoying our sleeps under our duvets and our blankets, and so you don't even want to get up. You know that you really want to pee, and so we should learn to avoid all that. And that also happens when there are people, as soon as they lift this table,
any form of pressure,
there is a spill. So if they are exercising, you will see that at the gym their backside is wet. Sometimes it's not sweat, but because they are lifting gadgets. So there are people, when they exercise, it happens to them. When they lift metals, it happens to them. When they even cough, sneeze, or vomit, anything that puts a little pressure on the body, they pee a little.
But the singer Patti LaBelle, she tells a story that there's a time where she was on stage singing, and that happened. She hit some notes.
The notes she's hitting,
the support that she just,
the soprano singer. So maybe we need to also be on guard and help people, because once there is a lot of pressure being put, look at Detra Hicks and Patti LaBelle, this music, they hit wonderful keys, and the stress it gives you will obviously push that out. And then there is urge incontinence. So there is that urge, and then it comes as a symptoms of it's too urgent, like it just happened. And it has to come out. So that is some of the conditions. But UTI is really common. But we have all these. If yours is not at UTI, don't think that, oh, I don't have issues. If you want to pee and that edge is above the normal, then it means that there should be a reason for you to be concerned about your bladder health.
But for kids, for instance, we know that kids can wet the bed up to a certain age. Is there a particular age where you say, okay, this kid is still wetting the bed, or now they're getting to a teenager, they're still where you have to be concerned, or what's the threshold, I guess?
I always say that we are different.
Yes.
I wasn't wetting beds. That's what my mom said. But growing up, there was a boy who became my friend, and the mother was always like throwing words in his face, because at that age, 9,
he was still wetting the bed.
He was still doing that, and it can be very embarrassing depending on the age. I don't want to sit here and say that if your child is wetting beds at 5, it will put a lot of pressure on mothers. But I believe that as part of even parenting, when you come for counseling, we have a column in the maternal and child health record book by the WHO we use that we say that there are developmental milestones for every child. So if Kokui's daughter decided to walk at 1 and mine is walking at 2, I have no business comparing my child to Kokui's child, because some of them are born as sisters in the womb. They are born ready. There is a girl at 7 months who is eating kosua and meko. When I, at this age, I am still scared sometimes when I'm eating kosua and meko. So people are different. If I brought in the developmental milestones because then it will state clearly, okay, this is what we should be hoping for at age 5. And so you should prep the child into it. There are children at 5, they can't even eat until mommy is there. Okay. It means that something went wrong as far as the developmental process or pathway is concerned. So you can start off by training this child to pee. Okay. So you take this child every morning. There is something I did for myself and I will tell others to do it. Me, until I sit or use the washroom, I'm not wearing any dress. I don't want any bump here. So that's why some people will see you with a flat tummy, because you need to consciously train your body to know how to expel stuff or get things out. Until I have done that, I am not wearing any dress because it's a new day. I am going to put in new things. And so whatever is there and has fermented yesterday, find your way out.
You want it to come out. Oh.
So I believe that is a training you give to the child. I don't want to give a specific age, so that if your child, you are watching with your child and your child is 7 and wetting the bed, oh, she's already even making my case worse. Learn to teach these children. If you know that they wet beds at night, learn to wake up at night and just help to take care of that. But I believe that if it's a developmental pattern, let's hope that before 5, 6, 7, at least this child may have found his or her rhythm, and so it could be controlled. But if it's happening normally, 7 at preschool, you can do a lot of things or allow certain things, a toddler, a baby, preschooler. But when you are of the school-going age after 6 and you are still acting certain things like a baby, I believe that as a parent, you should help your child.
Evaluated or,
so preschool, the Q is the preschooler and the school-going age. So for a school-going age after 6, you are supposed to be a little bit matured to be able to know that, oh, mommy, I want to pee, or I want to do this.
Are there any things that will help in terms of our diet?
Yeah, so 1, stay hydrated. They say men need up to 15 cups, women 11 cups, but I'll say work with the WHO recommendation. It says 8 glasses. So you are talking a lot, and so you need to really stay hydrated even on the show. From 7:30 to 10 a.m. That's a lot of talking you have to be doing. So you need to constantly make sure you are staying hydrated. But for the average person who doesn't talk much like me, because my job is to talk, you come and sit in front of me in the consulting room, I will listen to whatever is going on with the child, patient after patient, bed by bed. It means that I will lose more as compared to somebody who is just beside a computer talking to nobody, lift up a phone and then make a minute call. You come to the office, you don't even talk to anybody. If yours is like that, work with the 8 glasses, which is equivalent to 4 of this. Of those. So the sachet too is 4. And if you're a lactating mother or you are a pregnant mom, an athlete, so that if you're a man, a woman into sports, you need to also make sure that at least you add 2 sachets or 2 of this to it. But that is the guide. There are people who can do 8 of this. If it works for you, why not? So that is it. Stay hydrated and then eat healthy carbs. Now we have the complex carbohydrates, we have the simple carbohydrates. The simple ones are the ones we are always encouraging you not to be having, because they come with the carbonated stuffs and other things. And some of these things, whatever sits in there, irritates the bladder. God is a wise man. Eat what you have to eat. So whole meals, because of the high fiber content, helps. It creates, fiber is responsible for creating that soothing it kind of calms things down when it comes to certain organs of the body. So make sure your food is as fibrous as it can be. We have example being brown rice, oatmeal, wheat, the whole meals we know. They are all good. And then increase your fiber intake. It works for the examples we projected. And then eat fruits per day. Now, there is emphasis on fruits like banana. Banana contains vitamin C. Vitamin C, excellent as far as if you have UTI is concerned, any form of infection. And you know that most of the conditions or the issues I mentioned has to do with infections. And so if you have a fruit that is blessed with vitamin C, it will help you. But don't overdo it. If you, if you have the interstitial cystitis, because for you, your irritation is kind of on another level. And then if you have the stress incontinence, you too, you need to make sure, because the lifting of heavy thing puts pressure on you and makes you spill. And you don't want vitamin C influencing that happening. So I won't say cut off, but if I would do 2 oranges and you have something like this, you should do 1, or try to reduce your vitamin C consumption to the barest minimum, and then look for other alternatives, because you have vitamin C sitting in the citric family food, but you have banana having vitamin C, which has potassium. Potassium is one of the excellent foods you can, nutrients you can have as far as your bladder is concerned. So banana, a fruit like banana works, but generally all fruits can also help you. We have magnesium. The pulses nuts and family group will give you that nutrients too. And so some of the seeds we eat, the flax seed, the fenugreek seeds, and all those examples will help. And then cut off on citric. I've spoken about it. Cut down on alcohol. Cut down on coffee because of the caffeine. And then alcohol also causes that irritation. Imagine you having a cut and hypohypertension in it. You see that feeling. Ben. So that's, you cause that irritation in your bladder. And so you need to make sure if you have these conditions, you avoid them completely. If you don't have it, cut down and reduce your alcohol intake when you realize you are hitting a certain age. And then you choose your dairy carefully. Lactose irritates the bladder. In some people with some of these conditions, for example, the stress people, when they lift the tiniest thing, they have issue. You need to make sure that you are choosing your dairy products responsibly. If this dairy has vitamin D, then it's a seller. If your dairy has vitamin D is an excellent nutrient for your bladder. And so if you have issues like this, or you want to be concerned about your bladder, you just don't go into the supermarket and buy any milk. Make sure it is deliberately fortified with vitamin D. And if you can have that too, there are foods that are blessed with vitamin D, like salmon, eggs, and the powerful part. So if you have a child who at that age is struggling, eggs incorporated into this child meal, at least an egg a day, will do excellent for this child as far as his or her bladder health is concerned. And then we have foods like liver. I tell mothers, when their babies start to eat, blend it with whatever you are giving the child, because aside the fact that it will give you folate, iron, it is also going to create that strength the bladder will need. And so we don't just eat, we should be deliberate about whatever we are picking, depending on our body's needs. And then we have sardines. They are good. And then soya milk. So I said be deliberate about the milk. Soya is plant. Definitely there is this fortification, vitamin D, sunlight, anything that is plant-like, plant will have a touch of vitamin D.
Nutrition is so important, right?
Yeah.
How do people get in touch with you?
Okay, so you can follow me on, or send me a DM, Instagram at the Nutritionist Akosua, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Nutritionist Akosua, and then you can WhatsApp me on 0243 350206, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel. Good. Nutritionist Akosua on CCTV.
Awesome. Thank you, Akosua.
It's always a pleasure.
Good education. Taking care of our bladders with nutrition, good nutrition.
Yep.